Plaintiff versus defendant. What's the difference between them? The phrases, sue me, or, sue you, are often said as part of a joke rather than to be legal challenges or threats. Still, suing and lawsuits are no joking matter in the eyes of the law. Lawsuits have become remarkably common in modern American society to resolve conflicts and ensure that certain parties are held accountable for their actions. One of the most critical details for any lawsuit type is understanding the difference between the two of the most common legal terms. Two legal terms are always involved when a lawsuit is underway: plaintiff and defendant. If you have never been involved in legal proceedings, there is a good chance you will not know the significance and differences between plaintiffs versus defendants. What is a plaintiff? The term plaintiff has been traced back as far as 1278 and originates from Anglo-French terminology. The plaintiff is the party who brings a legal claim against another person or organization for damages. The plaintiff files the suit and brings their concerns to court and even stands trial should their case go that far. Without a plaintiff, lawsuits cannot exist since no one is actively suing. What is a defendant? The term defendant has been traced back as far as 1400 and originates in Anglo-French linguistics. The defendant in a lawsuit is the polar opposite of the plaintiff. The defendant is just as crucial to lawsuits as the plaintiff since they are the party with whom the plaintiff has a grievance and is making a claim. For defendants, the severity they face for a successful lawsuit varies depending on the type of case being presented. But the one constant factor is the defendant is the party being sued. When it comes to civil lawsuits, the plaintiff often sues the defendant for damages caused by their negligent actions. Similar to plaintiffs, a defendant is not necessarily a private citizen and can be a corporate entity that has wronged private citizens or another company in some way. When a plaintiff brings a claim against commercial entities, like large public companies, they become defendants in the traditional sense. Civil lawsuits. Civil lawsuits are one of the most common legal proceedings in the country and serve as a tool for private citizens and companies to settle grievances that have cost them a loss in some way. For example, let us say that a plaintiff was driving to work and stopped at a red light. While waiting for the light to change, the defendant, who is not paying attention, rear-ends the plaintiff, damages their vehicle, and causes them bodily harm. If they are found to be at fault, the defendant is then held accountable by a court order for the damage and injuries owed to the plaintiff. Criminal lawsuits. Criminal cases are a type of legal action brought through the justice system, which has more severe consequences and intriguingly affects the plaintiff's identity and expands the meaning of who a plaintiff can be. A criminal lawsuit is filed only when the defendant is charged with violating a criminal law, most often a federal law. However, most criminal defendants are usually placed in a more precarious position that can involve possible jail time since most criminal offenses that make it to court involve severe injury or loss of life. Burden of proof does not rest on the defendant for criminal cases. It is also why, although far from perfect, our judicial system is built on the concept of innocent until proven guilty, since there are instances where a defendant is falsely accused and where there is reasonable doubt. There is also the statute of limitations in criminal cases, where a lawsuit cannot be filed after a certain amount of time after the event. Both criminal and civil cases have statutes of limitations. Who is the plaintiff in a criminal case? Unlike civil cases, the plaintiff in a criminal suit is never a private or corporate entity. Instead, for criminal cases, the plaintiff is the government that files on the people's behalf. The government entity files a lawsuit against the defendant being accused of the crimes. The U.S. government or state government act as the plaintiff against the defendant. The prosecuting attorney has the goal of successfully building and prosecuting the case against the alleged perpetrator of the crime so they can get punished for their actions. We've added one bonus fact: plaintiff versus defendant is used for the case name. For both civil and criminal lawsuits, the case name is determined by naming based on who the plaintiffs and defendants are in the claim. Closing statements on who are the plaintiffs and defendants. Whether civil or criminal offenses, plaintiffs and defendants are the two parties in a lawsuit. Plaintiffs and defendants are the driving force behind claims and counterclaims, as there is no case to pursue or trial to hear without them. Thank you for watching.